All right, guys, everybody stop. Cowen shouts, the cycle is death. CryptosRUs replies, it's the bottom, we're starting over. Two top analysts, two completely opposite readings, but one of them is wrong. Who do you think it is? In the meantime, I'll filter out the noise. Let's go see. Let's start with Cowen, because his analysis is intense and quite bearish. Cowen claims that the cycle top has already been made, with a 70% probability. And he's not just saying it for impressions. It's based on a precise technical signal, which is the weekly close of Bitcoin below the 50-week moving average. Historically, when this happens in the fourth quarter of the post-halving year, the bull cycle is technically over. Not a dip to buy, the party's over. And then he addresses the issue of the lack of euphoria. Everyone says there's no FOMO, there was no FOMO, there was no retail, so it can't be the top. Cowen responds exactly like 2019. The top in apathy, but not in euphoria. The real economy is weak. People don't have money to create a bubble, and for 2026, he sees a year of clean correction, a return to $60,000 to $70,000. Cowen leaves only one hope for the bullish. Bitcoin would have to get back above $103,000 by this week. If that doesn't happen, for him, the cycle is over. On the other hand, though, there's George. CryptosRUs, who sees things completely differently. For him, this is just panic, a classic bear trap. He says that when sentiment is so negative, when the herd is terrified, the bottom has usually already been made, or is very close. It's a contrarian reading. If everyone sees bear, the direction is often about to change. George notes that we are down 32% from the highs, which is the perfect measure of all those corrections in every cycle. So for him, it's a physiological retracement, not a new crypto winner. And then there's the macro part. He expects weak labor data that would force the Fed to cut rates and spectacular earnings from Nvidia capable of relaunching tech and therefore also crypto. And finally, the narrative. According to him, the cycle doesn't end in December. ETFs on Solana and Ripple could extend it until 2026. In short, he's super bullish. Selling now, he says, would be a huge mistake. So we have a total contrast. Cowen sees a finished cycle, almost a replica of 2019. George, on the other hand, sees a simple correction within a bull market that is still visible, still alive, and perhaps not even halfway through. Both look at the same market and come to opposite conclusions. All right, and this is where I come in. Both views have their logic, but on completely different levels. Cowen works with historical cycles and technical signals. The break of the 50-week is a signal that must be respected. George, on the other hand, reads sentiment, macro, and narrative. And in a market dominated by ETFs, institutions, and liquidity, those are not elements to be underestimated. In fact, the truth is that today, two opposing forces coexist. A very heavy bearish historical pattern and an equally strong bullish macro narrative. The important thing is not to root for one of the two, but to understand which force is dominating at this moment. And you see this by observing the data, the flows, the market's reactions, not by picking a team. I filter the noise, and you maintain the direction. See you in the next video. Bye.